Learn English through story. Secrets of the Heart. In a village nestled between two mountains, there was a cobbler named Elias. He was a quiet man, known for his skill in crafting shoes that fit perfectly and lasted a lifetime. His hands were rough from years of work, but his heart was soft, bearing a secret that weighed him down every day. The villagers often praised Elias for his craftsmanship, but no one knew much about his personal life. They didn't pry, and he didn't offer. Beneath the surface, Elias harbored a love for a woman named Maurice, a love that had bloomed like a wildflower in the cracks of his solitude but had never seen the light of day. Maurice was the village healer, a woman with gentle hands and a sharp mind. She moved with grace, tending to the sick and the weary, offering them not just medicine but comfort. Elias had admired her from afar for years, watching her as she moved through the village, her laughter like a melody that made his heart ache with both joy and longing. He would often imagine what it would be like to speak his heart to her, to share the love that he had kept locked away. But fear always silenced him. What if she didn't feel the same? What if his secret affection ruined the fragile peace of his quiet life? One evening, as Elias was closing up his shop, Maurice came to him, her face pale and her eyes filled with worry. She needed new shoes, she said, as hers had worn thin from traveling back and forth between the village and the woods where she gathered her herbs. Elias nodded, his heart pounding in his chest, and promised to make her a pair of shoes as soon as possible. As she left, Elias watched her retreating figure and felt a surge of determination. This would be his chance. He would craft the most beautiful pair of shoes. Shoes that would carry her through her life, shoes that would silently speak the words he couldn't bring himself to say. For days, Elias worked tirelessly, selecting the finest leather and stitching the shoes with utmost care. He imagined Maurice wearing them, imagined her smiling as she moved with ease and comfort. But as he worked, doubts crept in. What if she didn't notice the love he had poured into every stitch? What if she simply saw them as another pair of shoes, nothing more? Elias shook off these thoughts, reminding himself that this was all he could give her, a piece of his heart, hidden in the soles of her shoes. When the shoes were finally ready, Elias hesitated. He stood in his shop, the finished shoes in his hands, and wondered if he should say something when he gave them to her. Should he confess his feelings? Should he let her know that every stitch, every cut of the leather, had been made with her in mind? But the fear of rejection, the fear of losing even the small connection they had, held him back. So, when Maurice came to collect the shoes, he simply handed them to her with a quiet smile. "These are beautiful, Elias," she said, her eyes lighting up as she inspected them. "You've outdone yourself." Elias felt a flicker of hope, but it quickly faded as he nodded and muttered a humble thanks. He watched as Maurice left his shop, her new shoes in hand, and felt the weight of his secret settle back into his chest. The chance had passed, and once again, he had let fear keep him silent. As the days turned into weeks, Elias saw Maurice wearing the shoes, and each time, his heart swelled with both pride and sorrow. She looked so happy, so content, and yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he had missed an opportunity. He had given her a gift, but it wasn't the one he truly wanted to give. He wanted to offer her his heart, his love, his life. But he couldn't. Not yet. Not until he found the courage to face his deepest fear. One afternoon, as Elias was working in his shop, an old man entered. He was a stranger to the village, with a weathered face and eyes that seemed to see into the depths of a person's soul. He introduced himself as Marcus, a traveler passing through, and asked if Elias could repair his shoes. As Elias worked, Marcus watched him closely, and after a while, he spoke. "You carry a heavy burden, my friend," Marcus said, his voice soft but firm. "One that you've carried for far too long." Elias paused, startled by the man's words. He glanced up, meeting Marcus's gaze, and felt an uncomfortable truth settling in his chest. He didn't respond, but Marcus continued. "I've seen many people in my travels," he said. "People who keep their hearts locked away, afraid of what might happen if they let their true feelings show. But I've also seen what happens when those secrets are kept too long. They fester, they grow heavier, until they crush the very person who carries them." Elias said nothing, his hands still working on the shoes, but his mind was racing. How could this stranger know? How could he understand what Elias had been feeling all these years? "You have a choice," Marcus said quietly. "You can continue to carry your secret, letting it weigh you down, or you can find the courage to speak your heart." The truth, though frightening, is often the only thing that can set a person free. With that, Marcus thanked Elias for the repair and left the shop, leaving the cobbler to ponder his words. For days, Elias thought about what Marcus had said. He replayed the conversation in his mind, turning the words over and over. Could it really be that simple? Could speaking his truth, no matter the outcome, yet truly lift the burden he had been carrying? The thought terrified him, but it also filled him with a strange sense of hope. One evening, Elias made a decision. He would go to Maurice and tell her everything. He would lay his heart bare, and whatever happened, he would accept it. He couldn't continue living in the shadows of his own fears, hiding his love behind the safety of silence. The next day, Elias found Maurice by the river, gathering herbs as the sun began to set. He approached her, his heart pounding in his chest, and she smiled as she saw him. "Elias," she said, her voice warm. "What brings you here?" Elias took a deep breath, his hands trembling. "Maurice, there's something I need to tell you, something I've been keeping inside for a long time." Maurice looked at him, her brow furrowing slightly. "What is it?" "A broken bar. I made those shoes for you," he began, his voice shaky. "But they weren't just shoes to me. Every stitch, every piece of leather, I made them with love, for you. I've loved you for years, Maurice, but I've been too afraid to tell you. I've been carrying this secret, hoping that maybe, somehow, you might feel the same. But I couldn't keep it inside any longer. I needed you to know." The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Elias stood there, his heart exposed, waiting for Maurice to say something, anything. His mind raced with possibility as to had he made a mistake? Had he just ruined everything? Finally, Maurice spoke, her voice soft and filled with a tenderness that took Elias by surprise. "Oh, Elias," she said, stepping closer to him. "I had no idea. You've always been so quiet, so reserved. But I've always admired you, your kindness, your skill, the way you care for the people in this village. I never thought a broken bar. I never imagined that you felt this way about me." Elias's heart raced, hope flickering to life. "Do you? A broken bar? Do you feel the same?" Maurice smiled, a gentle smile that lit up her face. "I don't know if I can say that I love you, Elias. Not yet. But I do care for you, and I think that maybe, in time, that love could grow." Elias felt a wave of relief wash over him. It wasn't a confession of love, but it was something. It was hope. It was possibility. And, most importantly, it was the truth. From that day forward, Elias and Maurice spent more time together. They shared stories, laughter, and moments of quiet companionship. Elias no longer hid behind his work or his silence. He had spoken his truth, and in doing so, had freed himself from the weight of his secret. As the months passed, their bond deepened, and the love that Elias had carried for so long began to blossom in both their hearts. It wasn't a grand, sweeping romance, but it was real, it was honest, and it was enough. Elias had learned that the secrets of the heart are not meant to be kept hidden away. They are meant to be shared, no matter the risk, for only in the light of truth can love truly grow. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.